6:31 PM, so I want to call this regular meeting of the Board of Public Safety to order for the record. Today is Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. We have a quorum of board members participating this evening, some in person and some remotely. So for the record, attending in person, we have Commissioner Young, Commissioner McElroy, and Commissioner McLeod. Participating remotely, we have Commissioner Cogswell, thereby constituting our quorum. Before we jump into the agenda, could we kindly stand and pledge the flag? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right, before we get into the actual agenda items, at this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Chief Baldwin. You have some awards and celebrations for us.
Good evening. My name is Chief Bill Baldwin, and this is Deputy Chief Bart Barone. Before we begin our short ceremony, I'd like to call upon our police chaplain to open up this ceremony with a prayer of invocation. Chaplain Warner, please.
Thank you, Chief. Please pray with me. Your Heavenly Father, maker of heaven and earth, we acknowledge you as creator of all things, including today. Lord, we thank you for this special day. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Father God, we thank you for all the brave men and women you have provided to protect and serve our country in the military and community through our first responders and the endless sacrifice they and their families continue to make every moment of every day. Father, we lift each of them up and their families to you, that you would continue to provide a hedge of protection and safety around them, leading them with wisdom, discernment, and direction as they continue to serve. Father, we thank you for your endless love for each and every one of us and the ultimate sacrifice you provided with your son, Jesus, and his sacrifice on the cross, giving up his life in order to save ours. God, all the glory, honor, and praise is yours. In your son, Jesus' name, we ask and pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. It is both mine and Deputy Chief Barone's great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this special occasion as we recognize and celebrate the remarkable achievements of the dedicated officers who serve and protect our community with unwavering commitment. This evening, we will be honoring 4 officers who conducted life-saving actions in the performance of their duties. Those officers are as follows: Officer Kelly Shimo of the West Hartford Police Department, Connecticut State Trooper Sierra Tebal of Troop L in Litchfield, Officer Vincent Paul, and Officer Daniel Stevens of the Torrington Police Department. Our police officers face immense challenges each day, often putting their own lives on the line to ensure our safety. Their bravery, integrity, and dedication are the foundation of our community's security and well-being. Tonight, we have the privilege of acknowledging those who have gone above and beyond the call of duty, officers who have demonstrated extraordinary courage, professionalism, and compassion to their service. These awards are not just a recognition of individual excellence, but a testament to the values that guide our respective police departments and law enforcement in general. These values consist of integrity, honor, service, and commitment to justice. They remind us of the profound impact that one officer can have, not only on the people they serve, but on the fabric of our entire community. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to the family and friends of the officers that are here today that are being honored. Your support and understanding play a crucial role in enabling these heroes to perform their duties with the dedication we honor them for today. We are deeply grateful for the sacrifices that you make alongside of them. I also want to recognize the distinguished guests that are here this evening. I'd like to recognize Chief of Police from the town of West Hartford, Vernon Riddick, and Deputy Chief Larry Terra, and who was a member of his command staff. I'd also like to recognize the commanding officer of Connecticut State Police Troop L in Litchfield, and that's Lieutenant St. John, who's seated over here in the audience. To all our officers, whether you are being recognized here today or continue to serve quietly without public acknowledgement, please know that your work does not go unnoticed. The mayor, the commissioners of the Board of Public Safety, and the community appreciates you. We stand united in our admiration and respect for the essential role that you all play in answering the calls for service. This evening, as I stated, we'll be recognizing 4 officers for various exceptional actions that they have taken in the performance of their duties. These officers were chosen to receive these awards by members of the department's awards committee, which is made up of their officers' peers. The committee reviews and discusses the incident for which the officer has been nominated and determines if the criteria have been met in achieving said award. The awards that will be presented this evening are all for the department's life-saving award for the actions that these officers taken to save the lives of members of our community. Deputy Chief Barone will read a description of the awards and the requirements to achieve them.
It's all on my phone and it went out. Life-saving medal. Life-saving medal is awarded to the officers for an act performed where there was disregard for personal safety or prompt and alert action results in the saving of a life.
Can I have Trooper Sierra Thibault and Officer Kelly Shimo up here at the podium, please? On Friday, October 25th, 2024, at approximately 15:53 hours, off-duty Officer Kelly Shimo of the West Hartford Police Department was traveling on the Winston Road in Torrington when she observed a blue Subaru Legacy moving slowly in the middle of the road and drift to the opposite side of the road, where it jumped the curb and came to rest against a tree. After observing this, Officer Shimo got out of her vehicle and ran over to the operator of the vehicle that struck the tree and noticed that he appeared to be having a medical crisis. This operator was later identified as Anthony Mariah of Torrington. Officer Shimo felt for a pulse and was able to feel one and immediately went into action to get Mr. Mariah out of the vehicle. With the help of Mr. Mariah's friend, Torrington resident Robert Andari, they pulled him out of the vehicle and laid Mr. Mariah on the ground. Realizing that Mr. Mariah was in cardiac arrest, through her emergency first aid training, Officer Shimo began administering CPR to Mr. Mariah. State Trooper Sierra Thibault of Troop L in Litchfield, who was passing by the accident scene at the time that Mr. Mariah was pulled out of the vehicle, stopped to render assistance. After performing a couple of rounds of chest compressions, Trooper Thibault began administering artificial respirations with the use of a bag valve mask, while Officer Shimo continued with chest compressions. After a short period of time, both Officer Shimo and Trooper Thibault of their performing CPR, Mr. Mariah regained his pulse and became conscious. Torrington police and emergency crews began arriving on the scene, and medical care was turned over to ambulance personnel, who eventually transported Mr. Mariah to Charlotte-Hungerford Hospital. On behalf of the Honorable Mayor Eleanor Carbone, the Torrington Board of Public Safety, the Torrington community, the Torrington Police Department, we are grateful to Officer Shimo and Trooper Thibault, who selflessly jumped into action to protect the lives of members of our community by rendering aid in a time of crisis. There is no doubt that Mr. Mariah survived this medical emergency through the quick actions of both Officer Kelly Shimo and Trooper Sierra Thibault. And as a result of their heroic and professional actions, they are both being recognized and honored for a job well done. Both Officer Kelly Shimo and Trooper Sierra Thibault's performance are in the highest traditions of the Torrington Police Department, and they are therefore being recognized in the issuance of this life-saving award for a job well done. So I would also like to give honorable mention to Torrington Police Officers Hannah Thompson and Nick Boscarino, who are also on scene, as well as Torrington Fire Department Lieutenant Joseph Ducote of the Torrington Fire Department, civilians Robert Andari and Dean DiPacelli, who also assisted in the successful end to this incident. This also includes, of course, members of Trinity Ambulance who transported Mr. Mariah to Charlotte-Hungerford Hospital. Now, it is extremely important for me, and it is with great gratitude and joy that we recognize the man whose life was saved by quick actions of the officers that I described a few minutes ago. It is again because of these actions that Mr. Anthony Mariah of Torrington is here with us today. And I want to celebrate this second chance at life and honor the strength and spirit that Mr. Mariah embodies. May we look upon this incident to serve as a reminder of how precious life is and recognize the grace and blessings that God bestows upon us when things seem hopeless. Mr. Mariah, if you can stand up. Officer Stevens and Officer Paul, Torrington Police Department. On November 24th, 2024, at approximately 05:23 hours, the Torrington Police Department responded to a disturbance on Lois Street. Upon the arrival of midnight shift officers, it was determined that a female individual had fled the scene after committing attempted acts of vandalism and expressed suicidal thoughts. Painstaking attempts to locate this individual throughout the remainder of the shift and into the day shift proved fruitless. At approximately 1400 hours, Officer Vincent Powell was conducting a follow-up investigation on this reported incident and was dispatched to a suspicious persons complaint in the area of Lois Street, in which this person matched the description of a suicidal female that officers were looking for, and that further, she was acting erratically. Officer Stevens assisted Officer Powell, and the two officers made contact with the female in the backyard of a residence on Dawes Avenue, at which point she attempted to flee. Officer Stevens and Powell were able to prevent her from leaving the area and noticed that she was exhibiting volatile and erratic behavior and that she was further not dressed properly for the weather. In her agitated state, Officer Stevens and Powell initiated de-escalation techniques to calm the situation down. When she noticed an ambulance standing by, she became agitated, expressing her adamant desire not to go to the hospital. As officers made the decision to place this person into protective custody, she was able to use a knife that she had concealed in her clothing and began slicing her wrists and arms with the knife. At this point, officers gave commands for her to drop the knife, in which she complied. Officers then immediately took control of the female and began administering first aid concerning the deep lacerations that she caused herself. With the help of medical personnel on scene, she was treated and transported to Charlotte Hungerford Hospital. Officer Stevens and Powell are being commended for their professionalism and exhibited first aid actions that saved this person's life. They quickly recognized and adapted to the situation as it transitioned from a volatile situation to de-escalation to rendering medical assistance. These officers displayed unbelievable composure, efficiency, and tact in dealing with a difficult scene. Officer Powell's and Stevens' performance are in the highest traditions of the Torrington Police Department, and they are therefore being recognized in the issuance of this life-saving award for a job well done. As we come to the end of this awards recognition ceremony, understand that these awards presented symbolize not just personal achievement, but the collective commitment to a higher standard of service, courage, and integrity within our community. To the officers that received an award this evening, know that your dedication has shone brightly. Your stories of bravery, perseverance, and selflessness inspire us all and remind us of the profound impact that one individual's efforts, namely yours, can have on the safety and well-being of an entire community. To the families and friends of those that were honored here this evening, your support and sacrifices do not go unnoticed. The strength of our officers is deeply rooted in the love, support, and encouragement that they receive from you each day. And to our community, this evening's ceremony is a testament to the strong partnership between those who serve and protect and those who benefit from their service. It is a reminder that we are all part of a shared mission to uphold justice, promote safety, and foster a more secure environment for everyone. In closing, the Deputy Chief and I want to express our deepest gratitude to all of you who continue to support and uplift our officers in their daily endeavors. As you leave here tonight, reflect with renewed commitment to our shared values and a heartfelt appreciation for the heroic work that our police officers do every day. Thank you, and may Almighty God bless each and every one of you. I also, if Mr. Di Baccelli, Mr. Mariah, and Mr. Andari can come forward, please. I have a small little token of our appreciation for them.
Thank you, Chief. So before we get into our regular agenda, I know the rest of the meeting is going to be just business as usual. So I think we'll just take a quick 5-minute recess and allow families and friends an opportunity to escape before we lock you in your seats and hold you hostage. Just for the record, it is now 6:55 PM. So if we can maybe take the conversations out into the hallway. Thank you. All right, to the Board of Safety members, right into the agenda, please. I will, at this time, take a motion to open the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner McElroy, seconded by Commissioner McLeod, seconded by Commissioner McElroy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address the commission at this time? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move into item 3. I will entertain a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from January 8th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner McElroy, seconded by Commissioner Young. Questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, also for the record, I just want to acknowledge that Commissioner Battle has joined us when we reconvened. Okay, moving into item 4. I will entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to CGS Section 1-200, subsection 6, subsection A regarding personnel promotions. With that, I would ask that we invite Chief Borden and Deputy Chief Tripp. Is there anyone else that we need to bring in with us? We're good? So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod, seconded by Commissioner Young. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll go to the back room. Okay, what I need first is, for the record, a motion to come back into open session, and for the record, it is 7:10 PM. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner McLeod, seconded by Commissioner Young. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and from the floor, do I have a motion regarding personnel promotion?
I make a motion to promote Elliot Bickford to first-line driver position.
And should we add the effective date? Monday?
Sunday,
What's that?
9th. Sunday the 9th.
Okay. So motion, excuse me, made by Commissioner McElroy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Battle. Are there questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And Chief, for the record, there'll be an official promotion pending, anything? Okay, at the next meeting?
Yes, next meeting.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on into item 7, I will entertain. This doesn't require a motion, but for the record, so that I can control any questions that may come to the floor, I'll entertain a motion to consider a presentation from Facilities Manager Jamie Sikora regarding the facilities condition reports that were commissioned for the police department, fire department, and the North End Fire Station. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod, second by Commissioner McElroy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Jamie, you're on.
Hello, Jamie Sikora, Facilities Manager for the city. I have a kind of a brief overview. I won't go into total depth on all of these. I have just the highlights. We'll start with the police department. These facility condition assessments were completed by, under contract with Silver Petroselli and Associates. They do a rating system of a 1 through 4. So I'm going to kind of highlight 1 and 2, which are the more high priorities. 1 are things that are an immediate need to be kind of fixed, upgraded, or repaired as soon as possible. 2 are kind of secondary to that. So police department was constructed as a school in 1903, converted into a police department. Construction started in 1988, finished kind of in 1989, and opened in 1990. A lot of the infrastructure in the police department is still as old as 1989. So I'll go over to page 3. And if you look down on that, things in line item 1 for red, sidewalks. A lot of the sidewalks are not current to ADA compliancy. They're too far for handicap ramps, and to get to the front of the building, they kind of exceed what is current code on that. We did replace the top of the handicap ramp, which brought it up to current code, but the rest of the building is not. How the door opens, access. So that's in kind of dire need to be upgraded to be compliant. If we look down and go to interior conditions, all of the door handles, other than about 4 that have been replaced recently, are knobs, which are not ADA. The key system is no longer made, has not been made in the last 10 to 15 years. So getting replacement parts is nearly impossible. So we're in the process of slowly upgrading that, which will bring those to ADA compliancy, but it's still a huge, huge cost because the entire building has to be rekeyed. Not to mention, a lot of the doors and door frames are rotted, failing. We're in the process of replacing quite a few of the exterior doors for security reasons. Some of them won't stay closed, other times they do. And again, we cannot get parts for these systems anymore due to their age, and nobody manufactures them at all anymore. They had an old Sargent key system. The contracted locksmith actually had purchased 5 years ago any and all replacement parts he could find on eBay to work on them, and he exhausted all those about 2.5 years ago. So as these things break, we can't really fix them. So these are dire need to be upgraded and fixed as soon as possible. A lot of the original water piping is corroding due to lack of original design ventilation. So where the main plumbing comes into the building, that literally rains in there because there's no ventilation, and it's not something that can be kind of added because it's under a stairwell. So that's something where that piping is going to have to be replaced within the next year or so. That's very much on my radar to make happen before we have catastrophic issues. The mechanical systems, the boilers were beyond repair. We recently did a massive citywide energy project where I was able to, with the help of Eversource and use incentives, replace the boilers in the building. So those are at least new, but the rest of the systems are not. There's 36 water source heat pumps, which have a life expectancy of 15 years. Some are still from 1989. So these have just been Band-Aided on top of Band-Aided. So I'm trying to get all those replaced as they fail. They're working on one as of yesterday that's failed. Ventilation is a huge issue. Again, when you take a building that was purposed for one thing and try and force something else into it, it's never perfect. So there's major ventilation issues that are extremely costly. So if you look at just the totals alone for the major upgrades of what they say is urgent priority, we're at, based on 2-year or year and a half ago data, $680,000 just to get the bases fixed. And that's at base level, not brand new building. That's if you put in the lowest quality possible, what would you get? If you look at what's under priority 2, we're at $7.2 million to bring this building up to snuff to get it to a basic building. Overall, we're $10 million alone just to bring and fix all these inadequacies up in the building. 60% of the ductwork needs to be either cleaned or replaced. The other main systems of the building, motors, all that kind of stuff, they're slowly failing. Again, half the stuff in there when I took over 3.5 years ago was from 1989 and never upgraded. It's just been Band-Aided. Any questions on the police department? Moving on, we can discuss the fire headquarters. That building was started in 1978, constructed in 1979, opened in 1980. The elevator is from 1979. It has a mechanical relay system that sounds like a bunch of typewriters. It constantly fails. That alone right now is over $200,000 to upgrade just the elevator in the building because it's all original. There were some other renovations done in 2010, but again, the boiler system was replaced, but that has about 10 to 15 years life expectancy left on it. We've tried to upgrade, we've upgraded the lighting. There's still quite a few issues with the plumbing. The lateral is not sized correctly for what it should be. It's only a 4-inch. There's constantly clogs, drains. There was not proper grease traps installed during the renovation. That should be done. That's a main priority number one. A lot of the stairs and railings are not ADA compliant. The the living quarters, as the fire department's expanding, they're increasing and getting females in. The building was never designed for that. So there's major renovations that have to happen this year alone just to get it so we can have dual personnel staying within the same spaces. So as for an overview on that, priority one, we're looking at $700-ish thousand to bring it up to snuff, ADA compliancy, as well as plumbing, living quarters. And we are 7.2 million all in. So again, bring this building to low level baseline would be the minimum of just that alone. Any questions on fire headquarters? North End Fire Department, built in 1958. Had some renovations done in 2007 when they upgraded the bathrooms for that. That again, that has major ventilation issues. The bunk room uses window units, not traditional HVAC. So those kind of run rampant, creates major issues with potential mold, humidity issues. Keeping things under wraps on that is nearly impossible. The electrical system is excessively outdated. Upgrading any of the systems in there require a full building electrical upgrade. There's just not enough power to do anything major to put in a modern system. There's no controls on anything. So these systems are kind of set it and forget it, old school from the 50s. The bricks need serious repointing on about 2/3 of the building. The roof needs to be replaced within about the next 5 years. We've been trying to patch it and nurse it along. So these are all priority one major things that need to happen. So this one here on this report, because of size, I didn't break out the totals, but we're another $2 million at least on that. So if you look at totality between our major, what the city survives on and what fixes and helps all the, staff and citizens of the entire city, we're 15 million minimum before these buildings are brought up to snuff. And with the current budgets, there's no way I can make that happen in the next 5 years. So are there any questions on North End or questions in totality on the overview?
Is there any discussion on replacing North End or headquarters or the PD down the road, long-term range plans, other locations?
So these first 3 buildings that were done on the citywide facility assessments were to kind of figure out where do we stand, what is it going to cost, and does it make sense to build a combined safety complex that would house PD, fire, and/or ambulance services. And then it also-
That's being looked at right now?
Correct. So this was the first premise on it to get a baseline of where do we stand now? What are we looking at? And where would we be if we went brand new, and what would that entail, and what does that number look like?
Okay.
To kind of outweigh it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and now if I can jump in on that point, because as you know, we were looking at our ARPA funds to look at some feasibility study to set the stage for what are those next steps so that we can begin a real planned, inclusive process for investigating, site selection. What is this really? What is those best models? As you heard Mr. Sikora indicate, we really did first need to do a baseline assessment of what do we already have. As you see in these numbers, it would take a considerable amount of investment in antiquated buildings, that were never built for the technology that is necessary for modern public safety. We know that, a diverse force or department requires different, whether it's dormitory rooms or, co-living facilities. We, I think, can safely say, based on the assessment work, that we're probably going down the right path of saying, all right, it's time to start thinking about those next steps. I did reach out, Chief Baldwin and Chief Borden attended a conference was it last May? Last August? It was May. Boy, that goes by fast. They attended a conference. The purpose of the attendance of the conference, did you go to that conference as well?
Yes, I did.
Yes, was to look at what are those safety complexes look like. Because there was a component in the conference, it was actually a fire chiefs conference, but they had this component for safety complexes. Am I correct?
It was based off of just, public safety complexes with the police and fire being able to commingle, if you will, and looking at shared spaces and things that you can do to reduce costs. So overall, talking with different architects and design planners and things like that, we learned quite a bit about things, but, again, moving forward is looking at funding and site plans, et cetera. So there's a lot more to it that we have to do internally to move forward.
So their experience in the conference, the information they brought back, I reached out to, knowing that we've just gone through a significant construction project, Torrington High School, Torrington Middle School. So I had a conversation with Ed Aram, who is co-chairman of that building committee, and said, what should our first steps be? I mean, obviously, we would want to establish a building committee. You want to recognize who's going to be in that building committee. You want representation from the fire department, representation from the police department, obviously our public works division, our director of facilities, and then I think members of the boards, Board of Safety and City Council. So those are, I believe, our next steps. Mr. Aram he went even, as he's so respected for doing, he reached out to his circle of resources to see who are those experts out there in this area. And he said that he had some information to share with us. I'm trying to schedule a meeting with him and the two chiefs just so that we can see, how do we structure this? We appoint a building committee. We start bringing those experts in to do presentation to the building committee. And all of that does also have to include a site selection committee. So I'd like to, over the next, hopefully, month, and bring back to this board and to the city council a proposal for the establishment of a building committee to start doing just that. What does that look like?
Yes.
Comments?
And the first steps on why we even went to the conference is to figure out what the needs are, because we can't figure out the size of the buildings if we don't know what the needs are for each of the different departments. As the fire department has specific needs and what would need to be at the headquarters, so to speak, that's one size of a building and the layout plus everything else. And that ties directly into the site selection. So it's kind of cart before the horse thing. We need to know what the needs are to figure out what's the square footage of the building, how large it has to be, and then what site makes the most sense.
Right. The timeline, I always, when we were looking at the ARPA funds as a source of those early stages, work that needs to be done, because sometimes that design work, site selection / design work, or initial conceptual design work can be expensive. Obviously, our timeline for dedicating those funds has expired. My goal was always to try to set ourselves up so that we can move rather quickly from the design phase, site selection phase, to a grant application for the CIF 2030 grant funds. And CIF 2030 grants, the name 2030, they expire in 2030. So we really want to start doing this work, start pulling the information together so that we can prepare ourselves for that application before the year 2030. That's 5 years. I will tell you, the last 5 years went by very quickly. The next 5 years are going to go by even faster. But I will also say that in the last 5 years, I think even some of the needs of the two departments have changed significantly. You go through a pandemic. You go through some of the societal changes. I think it's, become increasingly clear that having secured parking in the facility so that our police officers aren't parking out in the open, that there has to be some covered parking. Same thing with our firefighters. We want to make sure that they're being able to move in and out of their work environment in a safe manner. So even in the last 5 years, I would say that changes also have occurred. So a lot of work to do, but these first steps are this facilities condition report, the conference that the chiefs and facilities director went to, and some outreach to some people that are familiar with the process. So we'll put something together and bring it back.
Great.
Yeah.
Has anybody had a chance to visit any of the public safety complexes in the state of Connecticut, just to see like what their negative, positives are and stuff like that, just out of curiosity? Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie set up a tour facility, a tour group. Myself, the chiefs, went to Harvard PD. They have a combined police, fire, public safety complex, and it's a relatively new building, and they found that it's already inadequate.
Yeah.
They don't have the storage that they need. They don't have the space that they need. They don't have apparatus coming out of that building. So as we went to the conference, the one thing that was stressed is that we have to project 20, 30, 40 years into the future and make sure that the facility is going to be adequate enough for public safety way into the future, because the Harvard PD facility is a beautiful facility, but they're already out of room. And their kind of stuff. Jamie, do you have anything else that?
Yeah, there are offices in there that were repurposed 2 to 3 times from when we walked it, from when it was built, and it's not that old. And they said the same things. We kind of asked all the pain points, and it's never enough storage, improper setting, putting in an office where you think it's for use for A, and it's totally something different. I think it was their traffic division they took over an IT closet and something else because they just didn't have enough space. So as you get new requirements and new demands from, federal and other things, you have to be able to adapt. And once you're stuck in a box, you're stuck in a box. So that was a big complaint of all of it. The dormitories, that was another complaint, not set up correctly. Again, now having female, male, trying to share the same space. How do you do that adequately? How do you change certain things around? So it was a lot of eye openers of the same pain points we have being in a building that's probably not right, is what this brand new building is. And that's not something that we want to do. We want to make sure that we're trying to forecast out what do we need today and what do we need 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, so we have the expandability, which also then falls into, you don't want to get into a piece of property that's busting at the seams when you build. You want to make sure that as these changes happen, there's room to expand down the road also.
Good,
So
yeah.
those are all things that are taken into consideration. When we went to the conference, it was the same thing. We heard everybody's pain points. And the top 10 were the same pain points that everybody had. We built the building. We already grew out of it. We've been in it for 2 years. We're busting at the seams. We're talking about building a third building somewhere else because they don't fit. those are all things that we want to try and get right from day one and not have to go back to the drawing board again and again.
Yeah, that's great. Good.
Mm.
Good information.
I think that even with the new school construction, that's the first thing, they're not even completed and they're identifying, those pain points. Do we have enough room to expand? Did we build it big enough? They're always, held to what is the state willing to fund for the number of students that they can project over a 5 or 10-year period of time. I think we have a little more latitude when you're building a public safety complex. But I think key to that is exactly as Mr. Sikora has suggested, make sure you select a site that's large enough that if we need to expand, we can.
2025, all the HVAC codes have already changed.
I know, it's,
So everything that we had on a planned has already been changed and it has to be redesigned and a lot of stuff. So the space requirements have already changed and that's just on HVAC, that's just for a building. So that's the kind of stuff we want to make sure that we're staying ahead of the curve on. So we, like I said, do this once and do it right and have the opportunity to be able to adapt as we're forced to adapt and we can still fit in the same space.
Thank you.
so again, what I'd be looking to do is we'll have this meeting with the experts in building committee work. That's Ed Aram. Mario Longabuco, I think he wanted to make sure that he was consulted with as well. But the building committee would be some representation from the Board of Safety, from the City Council, from the Fire Department, obviously the chiefs, Jamie Sikora, and we might even select some members of the general public because obviously whatever we're going to be proposing over the next 12, 24 months, we have to do it in a very public way. So that's the plan. Thank you, Jamie, very much.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move right into 8. So item 8, I'll entertain a motion to approve the additional items for the 2025 Polaris Ranger UTV that fall outside of the original RFP number PRX 023089 XX24. This was purchased from Chavez Brothers Management LLC of Boca Raton, Florida. The improvements or additional components come to the total amount of $8,837.75. The original RFP was approved by City Council in October 2024, Board of Safety on November 6, 2024. At the time, it was a $41,426.99. Couldn't round that up. So the total purchase, when you add these other components to the total unit price, it will stand at $50,264.74. The funding source is through our opioid settlement fund. And this last $8,000 additions need to be approved by the City Council at their next meeting. So your approval is contingent on their approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod.
Second.
And second by Commissioner Battle. And are there questions? None. Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, on the recommendation of the Fire Chief Borden, vote to authorize the mayor to act on behalf of the city to award, execute, and administer a contract extension of firefighter personnel protective equipment, PPE, for the purchase of 5 sets of PPE at the price of $369.67 per set. This is to Brigham Industries, Inc. of Paxton, Mass. The total purchase will be $16,848.35. Again, this is contingent on City Council approval. I ripped my agenda. The purchase of these will be funded from the Fire Department capital account, as further explained in the purchasing agent's letter. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. I heard Commissioner McElroy and Commissioner McLeod. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, I'll entertain a motion to accept Police Chief Baldwin's report, December 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Battle, seconded by Commissioner Young. Are there questions on the report? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, I'll entertain a motion to accept Fire Chief Borden's report, December 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod, second by Commissioner McElroy. Questions or comments on the report? Hearing none. I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, I'll entertain a motion to accept the EMS Provider Activity Report for December 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Battle,
Second.
and second by Commissioner McElroy. Are there questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, I'll entertain a motion to consider business by the Board of Public Safety Policy Subcommittee.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod. Second by Commissioner McElroy. And all in favor?
Aye.
And Commissioner McLeod, do you have a report to share with the?
I do. We had two very productive meetings, I believe, over the last couple of weeks. The first one with Chief Baldwin and Chief Borden, and I think we had good discussions going forward. And we tried to put everything together at that point, which we kind of have. Got a few questions left, which I think we'll discuss. I think we talked at the April meeting, and we'll go through that. We're making progress. It's slow, but we're making progress, and pretty happy about that. The only other thing I have that I would like that we discussed in regards to the fire department, but not as a goal. We talked a lot about communication and that type of thing. So I would like to make a motion that we have the monthly reports that you give us to include equipment apparatus reports, mutual aid callback reports, and shift command reports. I don't think any of that would be really too difficult, just should be pretty much in the database anyway, I would think. Most of them will help us, when we have discussions on apparatus being down, because I understand another truck was down this week again, from what I understand. In mutual aid, we're always discussing overtime. And if we just have, I shouldn't say, mutual aid is anytime there's a callback. If we have a record, that should be, I would think, in the database also. So I'd like to make that motion to the board.
Okay, and just for the record, if you could read the three, was it three additional? Yes.
Yeah, monthly reports to include equipment apparatus report, mutual aid and callback report, and shift command reports.
Okay. So the motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
So our parliamentary procedures guru reminded me to make this motion, we have to add it to the agenda. So first, I would need a motion to add to the agenda consideration to request additional monthly reports. Do I have a motion to add it to the agenda?
So, yes.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I'll call that motion. All in favor of adding it to the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now the motion is, if I can paraphrase, to request that this is all just, is it both chiefs? Equipment apparatus? This is just fire department
This
reports.
is fire department.
Okay, all right. So the motion is to request that the board receive additional monthly reports from the fire chief regarding callback / mutual aid, equipment and apparatus, and shift command reports. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, that's motion made by Commissioner McLeod. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second by Commissioner McElroy. And the floor is open for discussion. Any questions or comments?
Mayor, I don't know if I can interject or ask for clarification. I don't know if I can ask for clarification. I get the bulk of what you said, but the shift commander reports, what exactly are you looking for?
Well, looking for communication between chief, deputy chief, and battalion chiefs. There always used to be meetings between them and stuff, and just report that they take place. We're not asking what is discussed and everything, we're not trying to micromanage that, but just that everything is being done every month and go from there.
Okay, no, understood. I just wanted to
Okay.
get clarification. Thank you.
Other questions or comments on the motion? I'll call it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. That was a safety, that was the subcommittee. Anything else from the subcommittee? We're all done? Okay. All right, we'll move on to item 14. I will entertain a motion to consider business by the volunteer fire departments.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Battle.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McLeod. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I see that Drakeville is represented by, it's Lieutenant, right? Lieutenant Bayes.
Good evening. I'm sure you all get our monthly report. In December, we had 17 calls for service, responded to all 17. We were able to recruit a few new members over the past couple months, sending 2 more to Firefighter 1 starting Monday night. So we wish them well on their couple-month journey until June graduation. So that should bring our total interior roster to close to 13. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for the lieutenant? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I see we have a commissioner from our Torringford department. Anything to add this evening? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move into item 15. I'll entertain a motion to consider business by the department heads.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Battle.
Second.
And second by Commissioner McLeod. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Chief Baldwin, anything this evening?
Very briefly, again, my congratulations to the award recipients for this evening. It was just, it's an honor to recognize those 4 officers who did an exceptional job. We have interviews for some applicants scheduled for February 11th. As I've reported last month, we have 5 in the academy, 1 on the FTO program. We did interviews 2 weeks ago, gave 6 conditional offers. We're now down to 5. And we're beginning different testing for the positions, different testings. Myself and Deputy Chief continue to work on the budget preps. We've submitted our first round. And we also have grants, several grants that are in the, that we currently have. One is a distracted driving grant, which we were allotted $30,000. A speed enforcement grant, which we were allotted $50,000. DWI grant was a $55,000 allotment, and we have $25,000 to spend by September of this year. We have a click it or ticket grant that in which we were allotted $10,000. We have a stolen vehicle violent crime grant in which we were allotted $35,000. Our total grant allotment this year is, or for 2024 into this year, is $180,000, and we have $141,280 remaining. Of the grant money, when you look at our overtime report, a lot of our overtime, or some of our overtime, I shouldn't say a lot of it, but some of our overtime is being paid for by and through these grants. And I want to just commend the Office of Professional Standards that was created, being commanded by Captain Gonzalez, who is out searching for and obtaining these grants to help supplement the costs that are associated with conducting various enforcement initiatives. So again, I just want to thank him for the hard work that he does. We also have in the works, Captain Krasnowski is working on an underage drinking grant. And another, we have a small grant that is from the McCall Foundation, which is for the CLEAR team, which is part of the opioid task force. So we're looking at ways to diminish the effect of the cost to the city through these grants. We also are in the process of contracting Board of Safety approved our budget last year for an organization called Lexipol, which is a law enforcement organization. We've contracted with them. The approvals have gone through, and it's going to be a grant writing organization that's going to, they're part of what they provide is grant writing, and they're going to be able to assist us to obtain additional grants, some of which we hope, as we talked about the public safety facility, that we may be able to find grants for things along that matter as well. So we're excited. We have meetings. I have a meeting scheduled with them upcoming, and we are looking forward to working with this group that professionally, that's all they do is they look for grants for municipalities and for police departments. So, so we're moving, we're doing what we can with what we have. So that's all I have. Deputy.
This past weekend, we participated in Winterfest up at Burr Pond, No Child Left Behind. It was very successful, very cold. The wind was cold, but it was a successful event. We had some officers up there. We had our crime scene truck, people coming through, very interested in what we had to offer. And, you know, we take any event to do a little bit of recruiting and see what we can do. And we had a good showing. Our officers did a good job. And I just want to say congratulations to the officers tonight and the firemen for the promotion.
Thank you. Chief Borden.
From the fire department perspective, we have three probationary firefighters who have completed their probationary period. Firefighter Richard Maloney, firefighter Mark Haley, and firefighter Nick Baswell have all completed their probationary period and will be moving on through that. So congratulations to all of them. Want to give a good thank you to Colchester Fire Department, who donated about 1,000 feet of 2.5-inch hose to us that slightly used, but something that we can definitely use and not have to spend budget money on. So that's a big win for us. Last week, we had a fire on Red Mountain Road, and I just want to give a hats off to all the men and women that were there at the fire. Absolutely a beautiful stop on that fire. It was third floor fire. When I pulled up, heavy brown smoke showing out of the A side window on the gable end, and within a few minutes, it was knocked down, and you saw everything turn to white, and you knew this was a win. So they really worked their butts off in some very cold temperatures, and I can't say enough about that. And when we look at our staffing levels and things like that, everything was good. We're very fortunate that one of our firefighters was returning from training, so we're able to actually staff one of our engines at 5, which I think made a big difference because that was one of the first engines in to that fire. The fire marshal is working with the insurance company on that incident. They believe it's electrical in nature due to renovations that were occurring, so more to come with that. Our 5 new recruits started on Monday, and they're completing their onboarding here with the city, and starting next week, they go up to the academy for 15 weeks of training. So we're looking forward to having them come back when they get done with their training. It's going to be a good thing. Everybody's really performing very well right now. Working with the new union administration, as you know, I think you know, in January, we had a change of president and vice president, and we're starting to get to develop a relationship with them, which is a really phenomenal thing, and we're moving forward with that. As I think everybody in this room probably knows, Mike Riggs, who I think was running for mayor at some point in time, is retiring at the end of March, and I say that jokingly. That'll be his last shift, so following that, we're looking at doing some testing for lieutenants to fill that vacancy. We also participated in the DEP Winterfest, and we did a dog and pony show showing our boat, our ice rescue equipment, things that we're capable of doing if somebody has an emergency in cold water. And moving forward, we'll be doing something at the end of the month with the look at my notes here, Camp Mo. They're doing the polar plunge, so we'll provide the same assistance and also probably be there in ice rescue suits. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Deputy Chief, anything?
Just one thing, Mayor. Deputy Chief Barone and I are going up to Lake Ridge to meet with the Board of Directors up there to talk about communications and alerting systems that were going to be available to Lake Ridge. They were concerned about the brush fires that were happening here in Connecticut. We had some close calls up there where some fire actually came to a garage. Our guys did a great job, containing that. So we're going to meet up there on a Saturday morning with their board and discuss, what we do for them and how we can, help them out. Apparatus, just to give you an update on that. It seems like we get a vehicle back in service and then something happens and it goes back out of service. Well, it was fixed right away. We had an issue with the transmission. Equipment maintenance jumped on the next day. And when I was down there, they did a punch list for details, but the truck is back in service. So it kind of goes out for a day and comes back. So it's constant with a lot of our trucks. Guys do a great job looking at it from front to back, up and down, underneath, and they find stuff and write it up. And they usually get 4 or 5 things together before they take it out of service and do the punch list instead of just taking it out of service for one thing. So sometimes the transmission or tire or something like that will take out of service for a few hours longer. That's a priority. Brakes, it's a safety issue. So it comes out of service right away and they jump on it right away. Other stuff, they'll wait to combine a whole bunch of work orders to do it. So but right now, everything's in service. Engine 5, supposed to go down to Gallons a Night, Watertown at some point. The aerial is out of service right now, and there's maybe a frame issue from rust that Gallons a Night's going to look at. It's in service right now just as a pumper only, as a spare piece, but the aerial is not in service at this point. So we're down to engine 2 and truck 1 for the aerials, but we're in good shape.
Any questions for the chief? No? No questions? All right, anything from Trinity this evening?
Yeah, I did just want to mention that we lost a 37-year veteran recently. Steph Sushicki worked for us for 37 years, probably almost every division with the exception of Hartford. I want to thank the fire department and the police department for sending some people for the funeral. We did a really nice service for him and just wanted to thank everybody.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeff? All right, we'll move into item 16. I'll entertain a motion to consider business by mayor and members.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Young. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll start from the screen. Anything this evening, Commissioner Cogswell?
Nothing this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Battle.
Just congratulations to the award recipients. Congratulations on the promotion. So, hear about the loss. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner McLeod.
Obviously, congratulations to all the award winners. That was pretty impressive tonight. I meant to ask, Deputy, you might have said it, I kind of missed something. When is the new apparatus coming in? I know the date keeps changing and I know that's not going to patch up all the problems we're having, but sure in heck will help.
So the joke right now is it may.
Okay. Right now.
It's supposed to be May. They're saying May for delivery to Massachusetts, like the first week in May, and then probably the 2 weeks after that, because they'll do all the painting and lettering and do some modifications to the cab. We're supposed to go down in April for a final inspection in Florida. So,
Thank you.
but the joke is it may.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner McElroy.
Jeff, sorry for your loss. Congratulations to the award recipients and firefighter Bickford for his promotion.
And Commissioner Young, nothing this evening? All right, well then, there being no further business before the board, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod, seconded by Commissioner Young. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?